Hey, it's Ed with Slow Car Fix, and I'm back working on my 55 Chevy. I got some new parts in, and I'm looking forward to mocking them up and getting them installed. So let's have a look and see what I got. Hey, I just want to jump in here for a second before this video goes any further. It did already go further, but this is the next day. I just want to let you know this video kind of takes a turn, and things evolved, and I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do, but stick with me because I think at the end I got a path forward. So if you've been following this at all, you know that I've had trouble with the back corners and trying to keep the car straight and square, and obviously I'm getting into some interesting sort of things to make that happen, but I got some pieces. So what I ordered from Cars was these sections for each side, and this is goes somewhere on the inside because what I'm trying to do is get some sort of fixed point because everything's all twisted and I don't have any real constants. And then I got this trunk latch thing here so I don't have to scab the one off this piece of garbage that was not really even existing. So I have that. I have to strip all this down and then figure out where this all lines up. The point of using this piece rather than these ones is that because this taillight area is a fixed area, this gives me a fixed distance from here to here, where with this it kind of can move around a little bit. And when all this was rotten at the bottom on the original car part, I didn't really know where this went. So these are going to be extras, and that's what I'm going to be using. They look like a good stamp. They're not perfect. There's a couple little waves I see here and there, but of course all this stuff is going to need filler, and the dies for these stamps are probably 100 years old. Not 100, but close. So that's what I've got. It cost me a giant pile of money to get it here, and I got to figure out where these inner corner pieces go, but the same thing, I'm trying to get some sort of constant. So I need to do that. Once I get these corners in, then I can weld this tail pan back in, and then I have something square and straight on the car for once, and I'll actually be able to work sort of from that, and the car will be sort of relatively rigid back here, and it won't be flopping all over the place, because right now, like, I can move these quarters a lot and get a lot of play. So basically I have the trunk lid where I want it, and I'm basically lining up everything to it. So this is already telling me a story here. It's already showing me roughly where I need to be, which is going to be interesting because my trunk pan doesn't line up where I thought it ought to be. So yeah, it's really hard because, like I said, the whole back of this car had sagged. But at least now I know this is the distance it has to be. So I'm close, but I don't like where it sits on the trunk pan. So I may either have to jack the quarter up or cut this new trunk pan I just welded in out or something like that. I'm not really sure, but I'm going to figure it out. I guess the first thing I need to do is I need to remove this little bit of material here so I can sit this in and get a good look at where that needs to go, because then I can push it in and this will sit in flush and I can mark it and get a better idea where I want it to be, because I don't know that that's the edge I want to take. I might want to take it back here at this little relief. I've got to figure all that out. So the first thing I need to do is along the line of the seam on this, on here, I need to cut that and take that out. I need to cut out this part that holds in the tail light, which is going to be interesting. And then probably cut out, it's all going to come out in sections. I'm probably going to cut this out, like this section out, and then I'll hold this up, clamp it in place, mark where I want it to be, and then I'll figure out where I'm cutting. I might do the cut and butt where I cut through both panels and then push it in, but I don't really want to think about that yet. Well, I said I was going to take you guys on this ride on this 55 for better or worse. And it's worse. I'm really at the point where I'm not sure if I can continue on this. I'm not sure if I can save this. I've thrown money at it by buying parts. I've thrown a pile of time at it. I think I'm going to have to get some help and get a friend of mine to help me see what we can do to see if there's any hope at all of just being able to make something work of this. The situation on the back escalated quickly. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, you will see that there is less here than there was once before. I had the tail pan piece, not the tail pan, the trunk piece welded in. And I got that back out. I had, it was sitting on the supports on here, and the problem is, and this has been the problem the whole time, the car is sitting on the Leafs purchase because the thing is so rotten and all this structure was gone out of the back that the car had sunk down onto the Leaf purchase, which is why the trunk never closed and a giant pile of mess. So when I finally get this now clamped into place and I've got my fixed point here, the problem is it is lower than the frame. So I thought I would be smart by cutting out this old floor, or well, the new floor that I welded in, the new 10 inches. But the problem is that, because that was holding it up, but it wasn't in the right position. It wasn't in the right spot because it was just sort of held together. It's really a situation here, and I'm not really sure that I can weld myself out of this one. So, and then of course, you know, don't forget about all in there. So there's no structure. The only structure right here is like this little bit that's here that's attached, and a little bit on the other side. Like this car is literally not far off breaking in half. And I'm not YouTube dramaing it. It's just really, at this point, it's the supports I have welded in at the bottom that are in line with the rockers and the roof that's holding us together. You know, the half quarters were just clamped on, right? So this is what it looks like with them not clamped on. And you can see, like, I've got a pile of stuff here to do. But the biggest thing is to be able to get the car to the right elevation. So what I did last time to be able to put that floor pan in was I brought my gantry over, I welded a pipe across, and I lifted the car up. But when you lift the car up, it flexes everything. So it's really a situation. And the floor is, you know, it's got the new one-piece floor, and it's tacked in place. But it's really, yeah, it's a situation. So I'm not really sure at this point what I'm going to do. I think that probably I need some help to, I can't run 2 jacks at once. I can't hoist 2 sides at once, so I'm not really sure. I think I might have to look at doing what I did before and welding a piece across, using my gantry to lift the car up. So I might have to do that. Lift the car up again off the chassis, figure out, like, put these pieces in, put the tail pan across, or at least mock it up across, so it's actually going to fit. Because the problem I was having was the tail pan was too high because it was sitting on the floor, and the floor was kicked up like this because there was just no support here. So if I do that, you know, a solution would be a whole one-piece floor, but, like, really, like, what am I left with here? A roof? So really, if I'm going to use that end 10 inches of floor like I've got sitting over there with the brace on it, I'm going to have to put some, like, angle iron supports underneath so it ties it all back together so it's, you know, strong. Because right now it's just a pretzel. I don't really know what to make of it. So I've taken on some big projects before. I've taken on, you know, I've done frame swaps and done LS swaps and done all kinds of metal work and body work and all that kind of stuff. The 2-door conversion on this is the easy part. It's just the car itself that's no good. Now, that being said, the 2-door conversion, I should have did it differently. And I think I've said that before. I use those aftermarket panels. I shouldn't have done that. Really, I shouldn't have done anything with this car. However, here I am. I'm in it a pile of money. I'm in it a pile of time. So I'm really thinking about, do I try and find another 55? Really, the only thing that would make sense is to just keep throwing more time and money at this, and hopefully I can make something out of it. Like, really, it's just a mess. Or do I pick up another 55 that happens to need the new one-piece floor and happens to need the lower quarters and all the parts that I already have? Because selling those parts afterwards, after the fact, is not even remotely worthwhile. So here we are. This is, does Ed give up? I don't know. I'm really not sure. At what point am I throwing good money after bad? Probably about $5,000 ago. Yeah, it escalated quickly. I'm going to think on it a bit. It's not over yet. Yeah, so I said all along that I was going to take you guys with me along my journey, whatever that may be, if it's good or bad. And this one doesn't look like the outcome is really ideal, but it's not over yet. Stick with me, and I'll let you know what I'm doing. This may be parts. It may be, yeah, it may be parts. Okay, so after losing a night of sleep and shopping for parts, cars and parts and stuff online last night and this morning, I came out to look at it. My wife looked at it with me and told me that I'm an idiot and that I shouldn't give up. So I'm not sure that I'm going to give up just yet. However, I'm still not sure that I'm sticking with this shell. So let me show you what I've got here and where I'm at to try and solve this problem that I've got going on with this this back structure. So I'm not really working on it today, but because I have other things I have to do, but I thought I would just screw with it to try and see if I could make things work. So when I left you yesterday, this guy was running into the frame, and there's no way that that trunk pan would go across. Now, with the help of some screw jacks and using my hoist and the weight of the car, I've now lifted the car off the leaf spring mounts, leaf spring perches. It's resting on the jacks. I have pipes and stuff welded into the rocker panels to try and make sure that the car doesn't break in half. But I'm really like at my last sort of steps before I decide that I'm just scrapping this shell, taking what parts I can and trying to get another shell. I'm not buying a new one because that would defeat the purpose of what I'm doing. I kind of want a patina car, and if I spend $20,000, $25,000 American on a new shell, then I'm obviously not going that direction. So when my wife looked at this with me, she brought up a valid point that even though this is crappy over here and all holy, that from here to here, from here to the front there, replacing that as one piece doesn't change my issues back here. Now I was thinking that if I replace this with a full one-piece trunk pan, which is, trust me, is a better idea than using one of these last 10 inches. But if I replaced that whole thing, had one stamp piece, yes, it would give me strength. And I would have more strength, you know, than I did before because it's one piece. However, there's nothing wrong with this piece. It's like the only piece in the whole car that doesn't have anything wrong with it. I'm going to cut out the spare tire well because I don't care about the spare tire well. But the big thing is this, when I was connecting this wobbly floor to this last 10 inches, it buckled, right? And I wasn't getting some strength there. The car wasn't supported. So the rear quarters were sagging, which caused this to not be able to put that piece across. So what I've done now is I've got it supported on both sides. I've got the body sort of hanging, because there's no body mounts on the car anyways. It's pinned at the front, at the front part of the whatever floor. but there's nothing connecting it at the back, so it can float. So what I've done is slightly lifted the body off the frame, and now I have my clearance. So theoretically, if I weld this in back where it was, really I probably didn't have to cut it out, but it's not a big deal. If I put this back in, weld it back there, and put some supports across, make some pieces. Like I know from factory it had some pieces that went across here, but like I'm not sure that they did as much as one would think. But it's a trunk. What do I care? I can make some supports that go underneath. I can make some supports that go over top, and try and get some rigidity between the trunk and this piece back here. Then I can, if I have this welded in place, I can weld these corners on, because now I have clearance. I can put the tail pan across and set the whole thing down. And I'm gonna have to build some stuff on the sides and the corners here. But this, man, is this car ever bad. So I'm just trying to figure out, this is like a last ditch effort to see if I can save this shell or not. The problem is, like, it just compounds, right? I fix this, and then what's next, and what's next, and what's next. So I knew this was a giant project, but there's no saving money on this project. This wasn't a money-saving project. I don't know why the hell I did this, but besides that, I just wanted a car. That I wanted a 55, and I wanted a 55 for a long time. But why on earth I didn't just try and buy one instead of doing this, I don't know. I don't recommend someone takes this on. However, I'll get there. And one way or another, I will either get there with this shell, or I'll scrap it and get another shell. That's all I can do. So I think what I'm going to do now, I don't have time today, but I feel a little better now that I could actually get the car up. That I'll tack this in. I'll put some supports in, maybe some angle iron or something for now. Ideally, I'd do like some flat bar or something. Yeah, kind of a mess, kind of a shit show. So the goal is to make this strong enough so I can pull the body off the frame, like, eventually. But like, I got to make it stronger before I can do that. It's almost off the frame now, I suppose, but anyway, I'm rambling. Okay, so for those of you that are still here with me, thank you. This is a big one. I haven't tackled anything this bad before, and I probably never will again, because I don't think anyone should. This car should have been scrapped. It certainly shouldn't have been the money that I paid for it, and I shouldn't have bought it. But that's the way it goes. Yeah, lots of fun. I will be the bulk of my winter sorting this thing out, one way or another. I did send an email or a text message to a guy that I know has some whole cars. But that's kind of given up, isn't it? What do you guys think? Let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Hopefully I'll have some sort of resolution. Thanks.